Uyo uko kuno aho pano mamuona kere nai anovura meso anovura nzeve anogaya.
Right, 8 June 2022, and today I'm joined by my usual guest, Dr. Feddious Mutenheri from Botswana. How are you, Doc?
Gambakwe, I am very, very well. How are you? And it's a very good evening to your viewers all out there.
Okay, fantastic. And today we meet to talk about a very sad topic. The second prominent human rights activist, Dr. Alex Magaisa, passed away this week. And this comes after the death of Dewa Mavinga a few months back. What was your feeling when you heard about the death of Dr. Alex Magaisa?
Thank you very much, Gambakwe, for giving me actually this opportunity to speak what I can about this great human being. But probably firstly, I would like to express my deepest sympathy and condolences to the Magaisa family, of course, the wife, the children, and obviously the generality of Zimbabweans, particularly those who are in the fight for a democratic change in Zimbabwe. Indeed, when I received the news of his passing on, it was a shock, basically mixed with a disbelief, and it was a grievous moment. And indeed, as others have described, it was like a dark cloud had hovered over the country and over particularly those who are in the democratic trenches. Because here is a man that had become more like a soul of the nation. He had become a go-to person whenever you wanted to have a better understanding of the situation in Zimbabwe, in which he put it in a very, very eloquent, simple to understand language. And indeed, I felt poorer, and I'm sure many Zimbabweans feel poorer, losing such a great man, and particularly at such a juncture when there's so much expectation of change, and where there is so much expectation for relevant information about the direction in which our struggle is going. So a very, very great loss, deep one, and I think it will take us time grieving for this great man of our time.
Okay, and here you are speaking about Magaisa's blog, The Big Saturday Read, which he tried to write every week. And I think the last one was in May, which he produced, and where he discussed all the important political issues in Zimbabwe. Anyway, myself, I've never physically met Magaisa, but my mentor here in South Africa, he was in school with Magaisa at St. Francis Assisi. That's what he told me when he heard the news. What is your overall view of Magaisa? Do you think he contributed, and do you think he benefited from all his hard work that he put into Zimbabwe?
You know, I described Dr. Magaisa as a soldier, as one of the main soldiers in this democratic struggle. And just like yourself, I've never met him, but he is someone you could not ignore. His works, you know, became part of exactly what most Zimbabweans expected. So my basic view is that about him is that here is a man that had a deep knowledge, particularly in his area, the legal arena, and his deep knowledge. Here is a man who was a professional, but took his time to explain to most Zimbabweans on political, rather on legal issues which were difficult to understand. Whenever there was an event in Zimbabwe in which politicians, played against each other, or when the establishment would have done something that was not expected, Dr. Magaisa took upon himself through the BSRI, as you have said, the Big Saturday Read, to explain to all the legally lay people what it meant, or what those actions by government meant, right? So in that regard, for me, he became a source of deep information on those issues. But probably this is to even go ahead. Gambakwe, you know that Dr. Magaisa has contributed to Zimbabwe in the fact that he was a key member, one of the technocrats within the COPAC, which was responsible for drafting the Zimbabwe Constitution, the 2013 Constitution, which today we are using. And remember, from 1980, we've been using the Lancaster House Agreement Constitution, which had a lot of issues. I mean, basically, which had been overtaken by time. But for him to have worked tirelessly to produce what we could say one of the most democratic constitutions in this region, that was a huge thing. But not only that, he went on to serve his country, our country, of course, in the office of the late Prime Minister, Dr. Morgan Tsvangirai. So this shows you that he was a man with capabilities, to take this country forward. So my view of him is that we have lost someone we would have needed if we were to gain a free Zimbabwe. Here is a person in my thoughts, and I'm sure in many Zimbabweans' thought, a man that we always would think that in a new Zimbabwe, he would be a prominent person who would help shape, a country we want. Particularly, in Zimbabwe, we are suffering in what many have called a festival of illegalities, a festival of unconstitutional actions by the establishment. But Dr. Magaisa made sure that he put up a sober analysis of how the state should run, how the rule of law operates. And for me, honestly, I'll tell you that I am really grieving for this man. I'm even thinking who would be able to fill in these boots, because out of the many lawyers we have in Zimbabwe, it's few of them that we have seen who have the ability to just go out there and share with us the professional view or professional legal view of any issue. Lawyers, many lawyers will tell you that you have to pay for the service. But here is a man who gave us this service for free. We only woke up every Saturday to read his works, and we gained a lot. So he had become such a legal library that we depended on, many Zimbabweans depended on. And therefore his loss, losing such a man is quite a very sad and saddening event that has happened in our country, Gambakwe.
Okay, so I want us to quickly wrap this up. Obviously, there's a lot that you can say about someone, but I want to raise the issue of his dying outside the country. Do you think Magaisa could have done more inside Zimbabwe? instead of working from outside Zimbabwe, given the contribution that he's made to the country?
Well, Gambakwe, like I'm already telling you that you know that going outside the country is not a new phenomenon. It's a phenomenon that has been with Zimbabweans for a long time. Many liberation fighters, even who are in government today, had to sometimes go outside the country to launch offensives, and during this time it was the liberation war, which was fought through guns. They did that so that they protected themselves. One, they also realized that in those areas they could probably be effective in doing what executing the struggle, but also circumstances such as work and other things can make people go outside the country. So Dr. Magaisa was outside the country and teaching or lecturing at a very reputable university. Kent University is actually one of the highly rated universities in the UK, which only shows you how Zimbabweans are rated and treated outside the country. For him to be one of the prominent lawyers there, I think it was a great thing. But whenever he was called to do duty in Zimbabwe, he would come to do it. And as we saw, like I've said, through the COPAC, he was within the country and he served in the Prime Minister's office. And Gambakwe, you would also know that in Zimbabwe, particularly if you dare to challenge the establishment, sometimes your security, the security of the person is not guaranteed. And for me, he was even more effective when he was working from the United Kingdom, where he was, because he focused, he aimed at exactly what he wanted Zimbabweans to benefit, which is to understand the legal issues that arose in Zimbabwe, and he did it very clearly. And the BSR had become a household name, and people from all over the world, not only in Zimbabwe, but all over the world, were reading his works, could hear his analysis through the social media. And so I don't think that the argument that he could have done much when he was in Zimbabwe stands. I think he has been more effective as a human being wherever he was, because look, we are in the technological era where you don't necessarily need to be physically in Zimbabwe, but you can still be effective from wherever you are. And I think Dr. Magaisa managed to achieve that. Here is such a man that wherever he was, he has been effective in all our hearts. That's why we are grieving from wherever we are, because we feel as if we're with him. He was alive around all of us as an academic, as a legal professional. We heard him. We followed his works. We looked. We woke up to read his works, to understand. So, Gambakwe, I would say he was effective even when he was outside of the country.
Okay, Doctor, I think it's very difficult for me to raise a lot of issues today, because obviously it's before the burial, and I want to believe that many of the people that we share common friends and common audiences. I've seen the work of Dr. Alex Magaisa, and the contribution that he made. So I think for today, let us be kind to the family and to everyone who's watching, and let's not raise a lot of other issues at this present time, which can obviously raise in the future. Is there anything else you want to say before we close?
No, what I would want to say is probably to many Zimbabweans who are out there, it is now up to all of us to emulate the legacy that Dr. Alex Magaisa has left. At this time of mourning, at this time when people are celebrating Dr. Alex Magaisa's life, I think we should reflect on some of the things that he would have wanted to see in a new Zimbabwe. He has always encouraged the young people to go out and register to vote. He has always encouraged Zimbabweans to participate in the processes in the country, such as the voting itself. And if we are to to give him respect, which he definitely deserves, if we are to give him a big send off, I think let's rally each other and embark on some of his wishes, some of his dreams to see a freer and Zimbabwe, a Zimbabwe that follows rule of law, a Zimbabwe that follows good governance, a Zimbabwe that has justice, and in this coming election, let's all go and register to vote. And when the voting day comes, let's go all out there. I'm sure I will make him proud. He will look down and realize something that he has fought for. In fact, he goes out now as one of the heroes, national heroes of our country, because he has fought a good fight, and his works speak for themselves. So Zimbabweans out there, let's pay our respects by emulating his works and also doing what he would have wanted to do to see in a free and democratic Zimbabwe.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Feddious Mutenheri. I have you here every week on Tuesdays. Today we're a bit late, it's a Wednesday. So I'll talk to you again next time. And I think for now, let us just digest what you've said. You've said a lot. And it always pains me when I see a death. You know, I'm not like most people. When I go to a funeral, I'm filled with the sense of someone has not achieved everything that they wanted to achieve. You know, I was watching a video of Magaisa today sitting on the beach, and was just quiet sitting there. And I was thinking how much more a person can do if they knew that they're going into the last month or in the last. So these are very close issues to me, because I almost met my death. And you know, the biggest regret I had when I was almost about to die, you know what it was, Doc?
What was it, Gambakwe?
That I did not take enough pictures with my family. You know, like I was so I could not believe, like, the number of pictures I have with my family, they are probably less than 20. I
hope you have gone on to take more pictures now, Gambakwe. I hope you have gone on to take more pictures. But as you are rightly saying, it is actually, I don't know. I think all of us, we have the same feeling when, you know, you hear such news. Like when I saw it on social media, when the news arrived, you know, the disbelief, and you start to think, what more could this person have done? How much more is he going into the grave with? I mean, that man had such energy, had such brilliance. He was larger than life. You know, these are people you would be thinking, no, man, I thought probably I would die first before they die. These are the movers and the shakers of the academic field. But as it is, you know, it is only God that has all our days planned. You know, that's what opiates us. That's what gives us the comfort that obviously if God had destined him up till the 5th of June, there was no way he was going to pass through that. And then that then gives us comfort that God knows why he has done that, because probably beyond the date that God has ordained for you, probably you become another human being that people did not expect. But probably in my closing words, one thing I'm also really, really happy to say about Dr. Magaisa is that here is a brilliant man who became very consistent, who used his brilliance, his intellectual brilliance, his academic brilliance for the good. He was not a flip-flopper. He was consistent from the beginning to the end. His philosophy, you could follow it, and you could detect honesty in him. You know, as a soft-spoken person, I mean, he was very soft-spoken, yet he said things that were so impactful. But you know, so when for me, when I received the news of his passing, it was a real shock, man. It was I still grieve and probably in disbelief that is this real. But well, such is life, Gambako.
All right, thank you very much, Doc. I'll see you again next week.
See you next week, Gambako. Thanks very much.
Gambako Media. Rocking now. Hatichada kushahimba hatichada kushama basa hatichada kujigano kote shironda hatichada zvipatara zvakavharwa mabengi hamuna kesh hatichada vanhu havana kesh hatichada chokwadi sezvachiri hatichade in the next 5 years tinenge tapapi mukufamba mumwe anongopindura senge papa nenge afa asi kuva ndiyo chete chinhu chinenge chafamba zvimwe zvese zvakamira kunge kombi isina tiziri takangogara panzvimbo 1 semota isina mavhiri hapana kuti une plani kuzama ese maskiri kuti muri irarame kutsvaga mamwe madhiri izvozvo taramba ndati hatichada izvozvo ndaramba hatichada izvozvo taramba ndati hatichada hakuna zvakadaro hatichada kushahimba hatichada kushama basa hatichada kudya nokodze zvironda hatichada zvipatara zvakavharwa mabengi hamuna kesh hatichada vanhu havana kesh hatichada
Uyo uko kuno aho pano mamuona kere nice anovura meso anovura nzeve anokaya marigi Doticom, Usasai, Anogaya Mari,
Gambakwe uyo.